All right, welcome everyone. It's super nice to see you in the group chat and to be here talking today about the University College, especially about the Liberal Arts and Science program. I myself am a student at the moment. I'm studying politics and anthropology. My name is Balthazar. I'm 25 years old and from Germany.
Yeah, my name is Kim Zwitserloot. I'm one of the lecturers at University College Utrecht. I teach economics. I'm also one of the tutors and academic advisor. What that is, we'll go a little bit deeper into later. And I'm responsible for international student recruitment. There is one more person who is helping us out today, who you cannot see, but you can read all of her chats, basically, because she's present in the chat function. Her name is Hanna Sabo. And she's from Hungary originally, so welcome especially to everyone from Hungary today. She's actually an alumna of UCU, and she's now working in our admissions office. So she can tell you both about her experiences as a student, about life after UCU, but also about everything you want to know about admissions.
Should we say UCU means University College Utrecht?
Yes, maybe University College Utrecht means, that's what UCU stands for, yeah. So what should you know about University College Utrecht? Well, first of all, we are a part of Utrecht University. We are one of the international honors colleges of Utrecht University. And the word college really refers to the fact that we are a small-scale, tight-knit academic community within the bigger research university. We offer only one bachelor program, and the bachelor program is called Liberal Arts and Sciences. We are residential as well, meaning that all of our students live and study in the same place. What else should you know? We are very small scale. We only have about 750 students, and they come from 75 different countries. Classes are very small. On average, about 20 students in the classroom, and in the classroom itself, the tables are U-shaped, so it's very interactive, lots of discussion going on. And it's, yeah, as I said, it's an honors college, so it's quite an intense program. It's a high workload. You'll be taking 4 classes at the same time, and there's continuous assessment. So every 4 to 6 weeks, you will have a presentation, an essay, an exam. So we keep you working, basically. Okay. True, yes.
So Kim already mentioned UCU is a selective program, so you have to apply and only, I think, 1/4 get in. And to kind of sum it up and explain you who UCU admissions officers is looking for, but also to give you an idea of who the people are that you would be studying with and who roams around campus. We've drawn up a few points, which I just want to go through briefly. One is definitely that you should have a broad academic interest, meaning that you might be interested in a lot of things and you just can't decide which one to focus in or what to decide for. Another one would be that you're just intellectually curious. You're curious about stuff. You might be watching a TED Talk, might be reading an article, might be reading books and get really into it. Or if you've ever had to do a presentation for school and then gone on Wikipedia and suddenly you've gone on this sidetrack and that took you a whole hour and it's a really interesting topic. Or, of course, if you want to live on campus at UCU, you should have a certain desire to live in an international environment. 50% of the students are international. You should be motivated to make the most of your studies and the study life. Since it is an honors college, it is super intense. You have to put in the work. And lastly, since it is a very tight-knit community, you should be socially engaged, or you should bring the want to do so, to be involved in the community and bring your own stuff. Yeah. So why would you want to study liberal arts and sciences? A very fair question. The key feature of liberal arts and sciences is definitely its interdisciplinarity. And if you look at it from this perspective, the world and the complex issues we face at the moment, they can't really be arranged into one discipline. So you really have to look at them from different perspectives through different lenses. And these lenses can be learned at UCU through learning about different disciplines and diving into different disciplines. For example, before I joined UCU, I lived in Germany and did an army service in the German Armed Forces. And while I was there, I questioned a lot on the necessity and the role of armed forces in modern nation states. And then also what we do after deployment, for example. So I got really interested into development after a conflict. And this all brought me to UCU. Now I study conflict politics, and I've combined it with development studies, social anthropology, So getting an academic background on all these topics. Yeah. Another thing to mention about UCU, a second biggest component is living on campus. You don't just study liberal arts and sciences, you also live it. Part of the educational philosophy is really that you learn outside of the classroom. So you live on campus for at least 2 years in a unit ranging from an apartment ranging from 4 to 12 people. Everyone is usually from different years, from different cultural backgrounds, and with different academic interests. So you might be sitting at a dinner table and talking about one topic, and suddenly everyone has its own academic perspective on the topic and brings in that perspective and makes things really interesting, and you do learn a lot outside of the classroom. Of course, we also organize events. We do sports together, arts, everything like that. We'll get into that later in the campus life.
Yeah. So basically this means that housing is guaranteed. You will get a furnished room on campus if you are admitted, and those are single rooms, and you would share a kitchen and a bathroom and a living room together with other students. Yeah, all based on the idea that you learn more outside of the classroom than in the classroom, as much as I hate to say that as a teacher. But the idea is that we really want people with different backgrounds, with different academic interests to work together, to live together, and to learn through that. That's very much the goal. Oh, wait, there's a little bit of a delay on my side. Yeah. Now, UCU this year is 21 years old. We're the oldest university college in the Netherlands. We were the first one that was founded here. And that also means that we have a lot of alumni by now. And one of the things they always tell us, we had a homecoming 2 weeks ago. So I attended the dinner and the drinks there, and I spoke to several of my students who I taught 10 years ago, which is very nice to meet them again. And one of the things they always tell you is that liberal arts and sciences was really good preparation for the labor market. Because even though it is a very wide-ranging curriculum, you will really combine very different subjects. That's actually a good preparation, because no one will have a job for life anymore. You will likely change employers every couple of years, maybe even industries, maybe even the type of job that you're doing. And that means that the one thing that you really need to be able to do is quickly acquire new knowledge, quickly be able to communicate with people that are different from you. And that's exactly what you learn at UCU. I mean, if you're living together with someone who does physics and math while you study anthropology, those are very different ways of communicating and looking at the world. But because you live together and maybe you work together on the musical, for instance, you learn how that works, and you know how to effectively work together, basically. And the same with the content of what you study. If you have a 9 a.m. economics class and an 11 a.m. anthropology class, you need to be able to very quickly switch from one to the other. And those are exactly the skills that you would need in today's labor market. Now, the rest of the presentation is structured in the same way as what we did right now. So first we're going to talk about studying at UCU, and then we're going to talk about living, and then about what comes afterwards. So the first topic is studying at UCU. Now, at UCU, you have complete freedom to compose your own curriculum, but you do need to combine at least 2 subjects that you study in depth, that you take higher level courses in, at least 2. But that can be anything, and it doesn't matter in which department they are. So I have students who do, for instance, combine mathematics and physics, and they take a minor in economics. I have students who combine literature with performing arts. But I also have students who combine between different departments. So for instance, cognitive neuroscience with psychology and linguistics, or history together with political science and geography. Whatever you want to combine of these topics is fine. It's entirely up to you to choose what combination fits you best. I'm saying the minimum is 2 subjects. As you will see in the curriculum examples we have later on, most students would be trying out at least 4 to 5 subjects, so you even get a chance to explore a little bit further. We have a couple of special programs. For instance, let me see, we have 2 double degrees, one together with Dutch law, if you want to become a lawyer in the Netherlands, or maybe even a judge. We also have a double degree together with physics, and both of these curricula are built up in the same way. They're 4-year programs, so 1 year longer than UCU normally is, but at the end you get 2 diplomas. You get a diploma in physics or law, and you get a diploma in liberal arts and sciences. Then we also have a museum studies program. That includes internships at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, but also the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, or even the British Museum in London, or the Serpentine Gallery. We have a transnational law program together with Washington University in the US in St. Louis. And if you do that program, you can continue on into some programs of their law school as well. We offer a China Studies program that includes exchanges to China as well. If you want to go for the sun, because the Netherlands in January isn't necessarily, well, sunny, then you can go to Aruba for a couple of months to collect data for your field research. So you could, for instance, go there to look at sustainability issues that arise from tourism in a Caribbean island. Now, the picture itself you see here is from a program we have called UCU in East Africa. And I best ask you about this because you are actually in this picture. So this is like the Where's Waldo moment. Can you find Balthasar in this picture?
Not very easy, yeah. Maybe to say one or two words about East Africa program. By the name of it, I just realized J.K. Rowling, actually the author of Harry Potter, she just with her how do you say it, stichting.
Foundation.
With her foundation, she just released a press report that she discourages people from doing volunteering. And East Africa program is definitely not a form of volunteering for everyone that's kind of known in the field. It's consists of 3 parts. One is a preparatory course, which is a very critical view on development and all its forms. The second part is a field course. So you go to East Africa, to Kenya specifically, Kenya and Tanzania. And for 4 weeks, you travel through Kenya and Tanzania. You learn about different livelihoods. You stay with families for a few days, and you learn a lot about development on location. And then after that, you do an internship in a very grassroots NGO, usually doing field work, anthropological field work, and creating a research report, which for an undergrad student is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the only one that we haven't mentioned yet now, besides this one, is the pre-med program. That's a program where you would combine courses in biology, chemistry, and medicine basically. And that would prepare you for the entry exams to the master programs in the Netherlands in medicine. One thing to be aware of is that those master programs would be taught in Dutch though. Now, the last option mentioned here, of course, is you can also do a semester abroad. You can go on exchange for half a year at most. And you can either go on exchange to one of our own partners. We have 50 partners worldwide. And as you can see here, they're really all over the world. Our biggest exchange partner is the University of California. So you could go to San Diego or to Berkeley. You could also go to Queen's University in Canada, or you could go to Peru or Australia if you want to. You could go to Japan. I saw someone had a question about that. We have multiple exchange partners in Japan that you could join. You could go to Yale NUS in Singapore or to Yonsei in Seoul. Any place in Europe, really, whether that is Berlin or Madrid or St. Petersburg, there's a lot available. And these are only our own exchange partners. If there's a location that you would really like to go to that is not on this list, you can also go with one of the exchange partners of Utrecht University itself, because they have a couple of hundred more places you can go to. If you're interested in the overview of all the places you can go to and the exact universities, you can find that on our website. Okay. Now, you have a lot of freedom to compose your own curriculum. And in order to make sure that you still have a curriculum that's coherent and that is coherent enough to also prepare you for a master program afterwards or the labor market, we do have certain conditions that you need to meet in order to graduate. So you need to take a certain amount of higher level courses in at least 2 subjects. You need to take research methodology classes. If you want to continue in the sciences, you need to have laboratory experience. If you want to continue in the humanities, logic and discourse analysis. If you want to continue in social sciences, you'll need some statistics. Similarly, we also have a language and culture requirement because we find it important that everyone leaves UCU being able to have an in-depth conversation in at least 2 different languages. You can choose Dutch for all the international students, but you could also do German, Spanish, Italian, French, Chinese, Arabic, Latin, or even sign language. So there are a lot of options there. The other things we have to make sure that you make a curriculum that makes sense to you, but it also makes sense to the outside world, is that we have a lot of personal support available. As I mentioned, one of the things I do is that I'm a tutor, and every student at UCU gets a personal tutor. You meet with them at least once a semester. I would say that I see most of my students 4 to 5 times each semester because my office is right next to the classrooms and I have open office hours several times a week. And I help my students figure out what are the opportunities I have at UCU, but also what are the obligations and what courses are a really good fit for me, given what my interests are, given how I think, given what I want to do afterwards, what makes sense for me to do. You get a lot of help with that. We also have a future center available where you can go with questions about your resume, for instance, or if you would like to prepare well for an interview, for a job, or for a master application. We have a writing and skills center that helps you with writing and skills, basically meaning essays, thesis writing. There's a really nice series of workshops always for people that are writing their thesis, from the starting point, how do you come up with a research question, till the end, how do you write a conclusion, how do you bring it all together, how do you edit it. The Writing and Skills Center is also open for statistics help or presentation skills, any of those things. And every subject, for instance, economics or literature, has a so-called fellow, and that is someone who makes sure that we offer all the classes that you need to get into a master program, that make sure that the classes that we offer make sense, that they complement each other. And they're also the people that can help you find the thesis supervisor, that can help advise you about potential master programs afterwards, things like that. Now, how does a curriculum build up? Well, in the first year, it's very simple, explore. I always tell my students, just take the classes that sound interesting, and you'll find out quickly enough whether it is for you or not. So in the first year, just explore. We do ask that all of our students in the first year take at least one class in humanities, one class in science, and one class in social science. But within that, just take a class. If it sounds interesting, great, go for it. Only at the end of your first year, or more or less at the start of your second year, do you declare a major. So you don't have to commit to anything yet in the first year. And that is also the reason why we don't have subject requirements when you apply to UCU, at least for most diplomas. It depends a little bit on the diploma, but most diplomas we don't have subject requirements. And that's simply because we know that you don't know yet what you will be studying. Balthasar can explain his own road a little bit there in a moment. If it turns out that you choose to go in a direction that does, for instance, require more math than you had in high school, you can catch up with that with us during your time here. From your second year on, you've declared your major, you start to specialize a lot more. And especially in your third year, you really see that focus coming in. Then people are taking the classes that are really in the area that they want to continue in, and they also write an individual research thesis. We've prepared 2 examples for you of a curriculum to give you a little bit of an idea how it works. These are really just 2 examples. There are no 2 students at UCU that graduate with the same curriculum, so there's a lot more possible than what we're going to show you here. The first example is of a tutee of mine of a couple of years ago, and he came in and he already knew that he wanted to do science. So he took a lot of green courses. The green courses in this overview are science classes. He took biology classes, cognitive neuroscience classes. He took math, calculus, because that is a requirement for science. And he also took a lab course. He also had to take a social science class and a humanities class. Now, for social science, he took psychology. He thought he would really like it, but he realized after 1 semester that it just wasn't a good fit for him. The way of thinking didn't really suit his style. The research methodology, he was more comfortable. It felt more natural to do it a little bit more in the science approach. But his humanities requirement, on the other hand, that was linguistics, and he absolutely loved that. So he decided to make that a big minor. The language he took was Spanish, because his family was from Argentina originally, so he wanted to brush up in his Spanish. And then the other class that you see here is research and context, and that's the only class that all of our students take. And it's an introduction to academic research. What does it mean to study liberal arts and sciences? Things like that. Ooh, there goes my coffee. Second year, he continued with the direction he chose to go in. So he took more biology classes, he took more cognitive neuroscience classes, he took more linguistics classes, and he also did that on exchange. He went to Connecticut for his exchange, and the classes he took there were part of his curriculum at UCU. So he really managed to use his time there very well. And then in the last year, you see higher level courses in biology, higher level courses in cognitive neuroscience, for instance, imaging human brain functions. That's about MRI scans. And then he also wrote his research thesis in his last year. He spread it out over the full year. Some students, most students, I would say, do it only in their last semester. And his topic was aphasia. And aphasia is a disease that affects your language ability. So for instance, you see a wardrobe for clothes, and you know that the word is wardrobe, but when you talk about it, you say car. And that's because your language ability in your brain has been affected. So cognitive neuroscience is relevant because that's about the biology of the brain. Linguistics is relevant because it's about language and language acquisition, but also language loss. And molecular cell biology is relevant. So you see how all these different subjects he studied were relevant for the topic he wanted to focus on. He did a master's afterwards. He went to Groningen. He did a master in cognitive neuroscience. And after that, he continued on with a PhD, and he's currently in London, focusing further on language and cognitive neuroscience. And then your curriculum.
Yeah. So just like Kim said, in my first year, I explored a lot and took many different subjects. As you can see, the colors are very widely distributed. My first semester, I took the academic core course, which everyone does, research and context. And then I did 3 introduction courses, one in human geography, a social science course, and then 2 humanities courses, one in literature and one in philosophy, which I very much enjoyed as well. In my second semester, my focus switched a bit to the social sciences, and I did 2 more intro courses, one to political theory and one to economics, where Kim was actually my instructor.
And he didn't continue.
Great course, though. Then I did my breadth requirement, which was biology in the sciences, and another humanities course, which was modern history. And in the summer, I actually followed my interest in literature, doing literature and focus on environmental science fiction. This might sound very spacey, but it really combined a lot of aspects also about politics, how do you restructure society, and so on and so forth. Very interesting course. My second year, my third semester, as you can see, a lot of blue, a lot of social sciences. I did 2 politics courses, geopolitics and diplomacy, as well as international relations. And then I did the preparatory course for the East Africa program, which is theory and theory and practice of development, excuse me. And I did the academic core course, methods and stats, which every social science major has to do. And then my fourth semester, which I'm in right now, I completely switched my major. Before I was doing politics and human geography. Human geography I took in my first semester. I didn't like it very much. And then last semester during the East Africa program, I realized anthropology is my thing. So now I'm doing 3 courses in anthropology, intro to anthropology, gender and sexuality, as well as an off-campus course called culture, violence, trauma, and death. And at the same time, I'm doing French language and culture course, which prepares me for next semester, where I'm going on exchange. I just got my admission actually a few days ago to Sciences Po in Paris, to the Paris campus in France. There I'm going to be taking mostly politics courses. They have a wide variety of those, but mostly I'm going to be taking conflict politics courses. I'll be back in the summer to do my methods and stats course too, to then be able to do in my 6th semester the thesis, and aside next to my 300 level, so my highest level courses in politics and anthropology. For the thesis, it's just an idea so far, but I would love to go back to East Africa, to Tanzania, and do more field work with the Maasai, and then maybe use that as my data for my research thesis. But we'll see how that goes.
Maybe important to add here as well, we mentioned the summer courses here. Our academic year runs from September until the end of June, more or less. But our spring semester already ends mid-May. And if you want to, but it's not obligatory, but if you want to, you can also take classes free of charge in the summer in June. So those are so-called summer courses. Otherwise, as you see, we expect our students to take 4 classes at the same time. And each class meets for about 3.5 hours each week. So you'll be in class about 14.5 hours a week. And then on top of that, you still have your homework to do.
Mm-hmm. The summer course, the one that I did, was very nice. You only have 3 sessions a week.
I'm still jealous of that course. That sounded really cool.
And then, yeah, we every week we read one book, and we watched one movie. Sometimes it was correlating, so it was the movie of the book. And yeah, that was just great being in Utrecht in the summer. It was warm outside, sunny.
The weather can be nice in the Netherlands.
Definitely, yeah. And campus is just amazing in the summer.
Yes, everyone will drag out their couches and sit out on the lawns, basically.
Yeah,
this front of my office distracting me. Okay.
It's actually a very good transition. We've been talking a lot about the academics and studying so far, which of course is why most of you are here, or all of you. But living and the student life is also a huge part, and I'm glad that I'm here and I can tell you about it from a student's perspective. Utrecht itself is one of the biggest cities in the Netherlands. I think it's the 4th biggest. Mm-hmm. It's often referred to as the small Amsterdam because it's just as beautiful, but there are just less tourists, which in my opinion is a big benefit.
It makes cycling easier, for sure.
Yeah, it also is very close to Amsterdam. So if you want to go to Amsterdam from Utrecht, it's a 20-minute train ride. You can be back before 12. You can be back after 12 in the morning. The trains go often all night.
Yeah, I would be home before midnight, but I have a feeling you wouldn't be. Yeah.
There's an amazing music scene in Amsterdam, which maybe you want to take use of. Anywho.
Also in Utrecht, actually. Utrecht is the UNESCO City of Literature, so there's a lot of stuff going on surrounding literature. We always have big authors coming by. But also in terms of live music, the bigger indie bands always drop by. The Tivoli, if you're interested in that kind of thing, the Tivoli is a venue to definitely check out. And then the really big stadium tours, that would be Beyoncé, for instance. She was here last year. Those are 15 minutes by train. That's in the Bijlmer. So yeah, music nerd. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, Utrecht is an amazing student city. That means it offers everything. You have exhibitions, you have museums, amazing cafes and bars. I, for example, also worked in a bar in town, which helped me immensely with my Dutch speaking skills. But you don't have to speak Dutch if you live in Utrecht. Just getting around town with English is absolutely easy. It'll be difficult actually to find someone to speak Dutch to if you don't speak perfectly, because they will always switch in English. Even if you want to find a job, that works more easy nowadays. Just to speak in English. Anything that I forgot about Amsterdam? I don't think so. It's a very safe city. I bike around. Everyone bikes around, even at night. Yeah. Zooming into campus. Campus is located only about 10 minutes by bike from the city center. In a very beautiful residential area, you have everything around you that you might need. It's very close also to the forest and the fields outside of Utrecht. On the campus, which is an old army base built in the early 20th century, so it's beautiful buildings. You live in units from 4 to 12 people. Everyone has their own furnished room, and you only share the kitchen and the bathrooms. And
the living room.
And the living room, of course. On campus, we have a bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of facilities like a drama room, a dance room, a music room, an art room, a meditation room, a silent study area, which is very useful in midterms and finals. But of course, we have also a bar, student bar. We have a gym. We have a soccer pitch, and just the campus, the beautiful quad. On the picture, you can see this is actually what it looks like in summer.
Yeah. And there's an art studio. There are a couple of rooms where there's a piano that you can use to practice on. If you're interested in seeing what it actually looks like, go to YouTube, because there's a really nice new video that shows you around our campus and takes you on a tour.
True, yeah. And yeah, maybe to highlight as well, I believe we've gotten those questions before. You are an adult when you come to UCU, and there are no rules, no curfews, except for what the law dictates. Yeah. Huge part of living on a campus like this is, of course, the community and all the extracurricular stuff that you can do. I mentioned it before. Learning and living on campus, especially learning outside of the classroom, is a huge part of the UCU educational philosophy. And therefore, we have a bunch of extracurricular stuff. They're usually organized in committees, And there might be academic committees such as politics committee. They organize lectures. I believe it's one of the ones that you can see, or Scope, which is an academic journal. Then you have arts committees, performing arts committees, as for example, the one on the bottom left about music. Every year there's a musical, every year there are drama performances, fashion show, for example, and of course you have sports committees. I myself was in Marathon Co., which was a group of people who just organized regular runs every week and trainings, and we ran running into the forest and the fields just outside of campus.
What's your favorite campus event?
Oh, I really liked the sushi cooking class where I learned to make sushi.
Yeah.
I love sushi, and making myself is just very cool. Yeah.
That is very nice.
Do you ever go to?
I think most of the staff do, because the community isn't just for students. It's also really meant for the staff, the professors, but also the administrative staff to really mingle a little bit more with the students than would be the case in another program. So I think there's always a big musical every year. Last year they did the Addams Family. That one you will find almost, well, a lot of professors will be there. It's sort of a ritual every year. But in 2 weeks from now, we actually have the author Ellie Smith coming to campus as part of a One Book, One Campus event, where we've basically all been reading the same book. We've all been reading her book, Autumn. We've had a couple of book club meetings about that on campus that were also a mix of staff and students. And she's coming by in 2 weeks to answer our questions, basically. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Just one maybe last thing to mention, student life on campus is super vibrant. I mean, you have 750 students living together. There's going to be a good nightlife on campus, off campus. There's someone to hang out with, always there's someone to have a dinner with. There's always something going on in the evenings.
There's one thing you will learn at UCU, it's time management, because there's so much going on and you will not be able to do it all. So you'll have to find a way to prioritize and make it work for you somehow.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
So what can you do after UCU? Well, one of the things that's important to know if you are from outside of Europe, if you have a non-European passport, is that you can actually stay in the Netherlands after graduation. No matter what program you do in the Netherlands, after you graduate with a diploma from a Dutch higher education institution, you can stay for 1 year, no further conditions beyond that diploma, and you can use that year to do an internship or to find a job, anything like that. And the nice thing is that you can apply for that within 3 years after graduation. So most of our students actually go for a master's program. So you could, for instance, do your bachelor at UCU, then go abroad for 1 year, and then return to the Netherlands and ask for that visa for 1 year. That's a really nice option that the Netherlands offers. If you're Google search year or orientation year, you will be able to find all information about that. As I mentioned, most of our students do continue on to a master program. That's pretty much the norm in Europe, and that's because of how the system used to be before it became a bachelor-master system. So most European students would get a master's degree. And also the other thing is that we are looking for students that are academically strong, that are academically interested, that are curious. So very often they just really like studying, which is the other reason why most of them continue on to a master's degree. We know that about 60% of them stay in the Netherlands for their master's degree, and about 40% goes abroad. Funnily enough, most of the students that go abroad for their master are Dutch, whereas most of the international students stay in the Netherlands for their master. Yeah, it's a nice country. What can I say?
I can picture doing that as well.
Good.
Here,
yeah. It's good quality of life in the Netherlands generally. It's safe, good work-life balance. All of those things.
And great English masters.
And great English language masters. There are over 1,400 master programs offered in the Netherlands that are taught entirely in English. Many of them at the UU as well, at Utrecht University, if you would like to stay in Utrecht. If I look at my own students, I have students who did that, who stayed in Utrecht, and they continued on with theoretical physics or with American studies or with art history. I've had students go to pretty much any other university in the Netherlands, to the Rotterdam School of Management, to Maastricht to do medicine, to Amsterdam to do finance. But we also have a lot of alumni in the UK. We have a very strong alumni network, especially in London, in Cambridge, in Oxford, but also in Edinburgh. We always have a lot of people going to those places. We have a few alumni every year in the US, at MIT, for instance. One of my tutees just started his position there in cognitive neuroscience, different guy. But also at Columbia in New York, New School in New York. It's a little bit more rare that that happens, and that's mainly for financial reasons. It's not our diploma would make you admissible to those programs, provided you meet their entry requirements. But most students would not go to the US because it's simply, they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford it. Okay, now, the main thing of this graph is very simple. If you look at what our students study after UCU, you can see that it's all over the place. We have students who continue in the humanities, in the arts, but also in social science, in the sciences. Our curriculum is very broad, and you can take it in any direction you want, and that's the same for the master programs afterwards. Our students end up in lots of different places. And the same thing applies to work. You don't need to be able to look at this graph very in depth, but there's only one thing I want to highlight, and that's the pink part, because we know that about a quarter of our alumni ends up in teaching and research. A lot of them get a PhD. And again, it makes sense because we're looking for students who are academically curious, who like studying. So you see that in their career path as well. So if you're still interested, then I imagine you want to know how costly we are. If you have a European passport and it's dependent on passport, then not place of residence, even if you've never lived in Europe, if you have a European passport. I think there was someone from the US who asked that question in the chat group. In that case, then you pay the European fee because you apply with your passport. That is 4,375 euros per year for us. If you don't have that, it's 12,500 euros. For European students, if this is your first program studying in the Netherlands, you will actually get a discount in the first year. You will pay 1,000 euros less in the first year. There was also a question from someone in the UK asking about Brexit and what this would mean for them in terms of fees. Unfortunately, I know as much as you do, which is not a whole lot. What we do know is that you will pay the European fee until the end of the transition period, which right now looks as if it will be December 2020. Afterwards, we just don't know. It really depends on what the agreement is that will come out of it. Now, as you can see, it's not dependent on European Union membership, though. It's either European Union or European Economic Area. That would be Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland. But also Switzerland pays the lower fees, and so does Suriname, and that's because they have bilateral agreements. So if the UK ends up with any of those bilateral agreements, you may still fall in that lower category as well. At this moment, we just don't know. Keep an eye on our website. We will update it as soon as we know. Housing, that's about 6,000 euros a year, and that's basically your furnished room, so you don't need to come over with furniture. You will get a bed, a wardrobe, a table, a desk, all of those things. It includes your electricity bill, your water bill, your internet connection, but also use of the gym, use of the laundry facilities, all the facilities on campus, really. So it includes an awful lot. The only thing that is not included is your meals, because basically we ask our students to cook themselves. There are kitchens in all of the apartments. And of course, if you want to go out, if you want to go travel, if you want to go shopping, those costs are not included either. So if you come from Europe, it will be about 800, 900 euros a month, more or less. If you come from outside of Europe, it's about 1,700 euros, more or less. Now, how can you pay for that? Well, if you are from Europe, you can get a tuition fee loan from the Dutch government. You can simply apply for that with proof of registration at the university. And then you will get that loan. You can also pay in installments. So everyone can pay the campus fee in installments, meaning you don't have to pay it all at once. But also if the tuition fee you can pay in installments, provided you do not need a visa. If you do need a visa, then for the first year, but only for the first year, you do need to pay the whole amount, everything all at once. After the second year, you can also pay in installments. And that has to do with basically showing that you have enough financial resources to make sure that you can get that visa. We also have needs-based scholarships, and those are entirely needs-based. You apply for those. At the moment that you apply to UCU, we then ask you to hand in some extra financial information. Most of these scholarships are partial. They can cover part of the tuition fee, they can cover part of the campus fees. We have 1 or 2 full scholarships every year, but they are really, really rare. So that's something to be aware of. They are very much an exception. What else? Some countries will allow you to take the loans with you. So the US is an example of that. You can, for instance, use the FAFSA loans from there. And for Germany, you could use another one, right?
I believe Auslands-BAföG.
Auslands-BAföG, there you go. And the other thing you can apply for if you're at UCU is a student aid fund, and you can apply for that once every semester for an amount of up to 250 euros to basically help you with all the small costs that come with studying. Now, if you're interested in applying, what are we looking for? Basically, we're looking for the type of student who would fit the profile that we started today with. So we're looking for students that are academically strong, that are curious in lots of different things, that want to be a part of a vibrant community and want to contribute to that, that are looking for an international experience. You don't necessarily need to have had international experience, but you need to want to get it. And those are the things that we're basically looking for in our admissions process. So it's very holistic. It's really about, do you fit this profile? So in terms of admissions criteria, we accept the Dutch VWO diploma. We also accept the IB diploma, but we ask for 32 points there without theory of knowledge and without extended essay. We accept the A levels, 2 A's and a B at least, the American high school diploma, but only with 4 advanced placements exams or courses. You can find also on our website what combination we want, because we want a combination of certain types of courses there. There are a lot of other diplomas that we accept. We accept the French BAC, for instance, the German Abitur. You can find the overview on our website. If your diploma is not mentioned there, please get in touch with the admissions office, because in those cases, we will have to have a look at your individual situation. What is the diploma you're getting? What classes are you taking? What grades do you have so far? Is there maybe a university entrance exam that you've done? And based on that, we can then decide whether you would be admissible or not. We do not accept the SAT, nor do we accept the ACT. So it's really diploma based. We do ask for proof of English proficiency. If you don't, for instance, for VWO have a grade lower than an 8, then we ask you to take one of the tests, the IELTS or the TOEFL. If you have, however, done your full high school diploma in English, such as with the A levels or the IB, then you can be exempt from the English proficiency. Whether that applies to you or not, you can find on our website, because that is really specific per diploma. So based on that, you then go first to StudyLink. That's a Dutch government website where you basically have to register for the studies that you're interested in. You register to apply for University College Utrecht. You will then get an email with a link to another program called Osiris, and that is where you finish your application. That is where you will be uploading most of your documents. Based on that, you may be invited for an interview. Based on the interview, you may be invited to attend. The documents we ask for is we want a letter of motivation, and that's a little bit like the letter you would write if you would apply to a US university, meaning we want to know, what do you want to study? Why do you want to study those things? So for us, why do you want to study multiple subjects and why those? And why do you want to live at a residential college? Why do you want to study at a residential college? What added benefit would that have for you? We ask for letters of recommendation. We ask for a grade transcript. That needs to be an official transcript stamped by your school as well as signed by your school. We do not accept predicted grades. So we really want a grade transcript that has an overview of all the grades you've actually obtained. And I think that covers most of it. So motivation letter, reference letters, grade transcript, and then there's a questionnaire to fill in online as well. And of course, if you need to add proof of English proficiency, that needs to be in there too. You can apply either to start in September. We have about 225 places in September. We have about 25 places in February, so you can also start in the spring. And usually we have about 1,000 applicants for those 250 places. The deadlines are as follows. If you want to start in the fall, so for instance in September 2020, you can apply before December 15. That's an early action deadline, and that means that you will know by February 1st, March 15, somewhere in that area, you will know whether you've been admitted or not. If you want a scholarship, you have to apply before that deadline. We will not accept any scholarship applications after December 15. So if you're a candidate for that, make sure you stick to that earlier deadline. You can also apply for the final deadline, and that's February 1st, but then you will only know by May 1st, more or less, whether you've been admitted or not. If you want to apply before for the spring semester, you need to apply by September 15 of the preceding year. These deadlines may change a little bit every year, so make sure to check our website for the year that you're interested in to see if it is still the same once you're getting started on your application. And I think that means we're almost there. Yeah, if you want to come and visit us, that's possible. We actually have open days coming up in 3 weeks that are organized by Hannah. And Balthasar will be there because he's working. I will be there. So if you want to meet us in person, that's a really great opportunity. You need to sign up for those online, and they do fill up rather quickly. So if you're interested in that, sign up as soon as possible. I think we opened last week, and I think right now already 25% of the places are taken. So be on time. We will have another open day in March as well. If you're living abroad and you say, I won't be able to travel at those times, but I can make it maybe in November, or I can make it in March at another date, you can always apply for a campus visit. You can do that on our website as well. We have campus tours at least once a week. In the summer, about once a week. Yeah, so those are all kinds of options you have, of course. You can also find us on Instagram and all of those things, ask us questions there. And I think that's it, basically. So we then hope to see you at UCU sometime soon. There's our email address, there's our website. Yeah.
If you do see me at the open day, please just come up to me and be like, yo, I watched the webinar. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, same here, because it feels really weird because we're just talking to a camera right now. So come and say hi. We like that.
Just wondering how many people are still, like 66 people.
That's not bad for a Saturday.
Yeah.
So, other questions?
Yeah, we got a few questions from you guys here. Let's see, 4 so far. Oh no, a couple more. Which one shall we go in first?
Oh, and I think it's already close to 6, so we have a little bit of time. What sounds interesting?
We just talked about it, so let's maybe go into the motivational letter, recommendations letter. So the motivational letter, should it be, can it consider more than 500 words? I'm not sure what the word limit is.
There is a word limit,
in
and
general,
we do really want you to stick to it.
Also, for your future academic career, always stick with the word limit.
Even if it's not an academic career, shorter emails are more effective than long emails. So conciseness, that's a thing to learn for sure.
Then letters of recommendation, or just the names of referees. That's very good. That should be mentioned somewhere. It's only the names of the people, and then they will be contacted and they fill in a UCU template. So it's not they don't have to come up with something, but they get a form, which then they fill out. I believe it's 3 people.
No, it's one, basically. At least one. If it can be 1, it can be 3 at most. At least one of a teacher, though. So that's important to mention. At least one of a teacher. You could also add the one of your counselor, for instance, but we want at least one from someone who knows you as a student.
Yeah, that one I can answer, from Mila.
Predicted grades are not accepted. What about IB if I will get my grades in July? So you apply with your grade transcript. So whatever grades you have up until the point of application, that can be of the previous year, but maybe you already have grades from the year that you're in right now. So we just want the grade transcript from your school. It's pretty much the same for everyone who's applying to UCU, that your official transcript, your official diploma doesn't come in until June at the earliest. I think Dutch students get it in June. British students only get it in August. So we know that as long as we have it once, the moment that you have it, that's fine. At the moment of application, what we want to have from you is your most recent grades. Yeah.
This one, I think, from Imiana, we kind of covered already, right? Should the motivation letter and recommendation letters follow a school template?
Yeah. If you go to the online application, what you will find for the motivation letter is that we simply answer these 3 questions in your motivation letter. So please follow that. And the recommendation letter is just an online questionnaire.
Can you tell a bit more about doing internships?
Yeah, UCU is part of Utrecht University, meaning that we are a research university. So we're really giving students an academic education. Internships can be part of that education, but we don't provide a lot of help with that. So that's different, for instance, from the Universities of Applied Sciences. You can do an internship as part of your curriculum at UCU. It could replace one of your classes. You could do it in the summer as well and have it count for your curriculum at UCU. We have a few that are arranged through us. We have the so-called alumni internships, where alumni that work for interesting companies basically ask us to help them find interns. But most of the time, that would be something you would need to arrange yourself. Yeah.
Great. And then maybe the last two questions we can kind of combine. One from Josephine, who asked, what is the best way to compare the liberal arts and science programs with one another? And Teresa asked, what is the difference between University College Utrecht and University College Roosevelt?
Okay.
Personally, I don't know that well how to compare them. I would say that UCU has a very, since UCU was the first university college ever established in Europe, it has a very traditional way of teaching liberal arts and sciences and has more of the straightforward topics. So for example, you won't find business courses at UCU.
No, and that's also because Utrecht University doesn't offer business courses. And that's one of the things you want to look at. So you want to look at the curriculum, because the curriculum will be different depending on what university college you look at. Liberal arts and sciences in English in the Netherlands is always taught at university colleges. You want to look at location, because there's one in Utrecht, which is a very different city, for instance, than Maastricht, where there's also a university college. So what type of city do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a big city, in a smaller city? Do you want to live close to the beach? In that case, Roosevelt is a really great option. They're also a part of Utrecht University, and they also had a webinar today, which you'll be able to look up online later this week. You want to look at,
I think, your personal living situation.
Yeah, the residential style.
UCU, very, very particular that we have our campus and that you live on campus this way. Other university colleges might have a campus as well, but it's never going to be just like UCU.
Yeah, UCU really has an American style campus where the dorms and the academic buildings are right next to each other. Other university colleges may have their dorms in a different part of the city, or everything may be in one building. There's one university college that doesn't even offer any housing, so that's something you want to look at. So curriculum, city, housing situation, and the last one, atmosphere. And I cannot tell you that. For that, you need to visit, because every university college does attract a slightly different type of student and has a different atmosphere, but you need to come and feel that. So come and visit.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, right? Okay, thank you so much for all your attention.
Hopefully see you soon, either on the open day or in a year from now. Yeah. As a first semester. Yeah.
And I think we will still be available in the chat box for a couple of minutes. If you have specific questions for us, we'll need to move to another room now, but then we'll be online to answer any other questions you may still have. Thank you.